Listen, the truth about Junior's father has finally exploded, and it's nothing like what Chrisean has been telling the world. A secret DNA test was done behind her back, and the results don't just expose one lie. They expose years of manipulation, fake paperwork, and a paternity scandal that might involve a man who isn't even alive anymore. If you think you know this story, trust me, you don't. Watch this. Chrisean and Karlissa just had a huge blow-up, all because Karlissa secretly went behind her back and got a DNA test done on Junior. Chrisean has been dodging that test for ages. She even went as far as making a fake one just to convince everyone that Blue was Junior's dad. Remember Ronnie? The guy who passed away only days after calling out Junior for getting pregnant by him, not Blue. Back then, people thought he was lying, but this new DNA test that Karlissa quietly took tells a very different story, and it completely contradicts everything Chrisean has been insisting all these years. Blue has denied being Junior's father from the very beginning, literally. Since the day the baby was born, back then, everyone dragged him for it. People called him a deadbeat, said he was running from responsibility, and accused him of trying to embarrass Chrisean just because their relationship was messy. But now, with everything that has come to light, it's becoming painfully clear that his doubts weren't random or cruel. Blue wasn't just being difficult, he knew exactly what kind of games Chrisean was capable of playing, and he wasn't willing to let himself get trapped. From the outside, it looked like Blue was heartless, but behind the scenes, he kept saying the same thing. Something wasn't adding up. Their relationship at the time was already complicated, unpredictable, and full of drama. And Blue wasn't blind, he knew Chrisean was dealing with multiple people, arguing with everyone around her, and spinning stories depending on who she wanted attention from. So when she suddenly claimed she was pregnant with his child, he didn't buy it right away. When the news broke, Blue repeatedly said he wanted a DNA test before he accepted anything. People were furious. They acted like he was abandoning his child. But he kept insisting that he wasn't going to take responsibility for a baby that might not even be his. Most of the internet ignored him at the time, but as things slowly unfolded, his concerns started to make sense. The more Chrisean talked, the more confusing the story became. One day she would be calling Blue the father, and the next day someone else like Ronnie was coming out saying she'd been lying from the start. Blue had already dealt with Chris's unpredictable behavior for years, so when she tried to rush him into taking responsibility for the baby, it raised even more red flags for him. He didn't want to step into a situation built on lies, especially when he had already asked for proof. Let's not forget that Blue publicly said he knew Chrisean had been with multiple men around the same time she got pregnant. On social media, he told everyone that until he had DNA confirmation, he refused to accept the child as his. He even tweeted that she'd been with 10 different men in 1 year and wasn't being honest about it. At the time, people thought he was exaggerating or being dramatic, but looking back, it doesn't sound far-fetched at all. And then there was the Zeus network DNA test, that infamous episode that got everyone talking. When the results came back, claiming Blue was the father, it was supposed to settle everything, but instead, the situation only got messier. Rumors quickly spread that the show had tampered with the test results for entertainment value. After all, paternity drama brings views, and Zeus is known for doing whatever it takes to keep the audience hooked. People started saying the test wasn't real, that the paperwork looked off, and that it seemed staged. Even Ronnie, before he passed, said that he later found out the test was fake. He claimed it had been done just for the show, not for actual truth. And honestly, with everything going on, that didn't sound unbelievable at all. On top of all this, Blue's own mother Karlissa didn't trust the situation either. If Blue's mom's someone who normally stays loyal to her son, no matter what, had doubts, that said a lot. She eventually went behind Chris's back and collected DNA herself because she believed only a real, independent test would tell the truth. And here's the part that really exposes how messy everything was. Chrisean herself kept dodging DNA tests. Whenever someone asked her to take a proper one, she had an excuse. Then, when the pressure became too much, she suddenly pulled out a 2023 DNA test that named Blue as the father. But that document has since been exposed as fake. A whole hospital was contacted to verify the case number, and they confirmed the information didn't match anything in their system. Think about that. If Chrisean was so confident that Blue was the father, why go through the trouble of faking a test? Why not take a real test from a legitimate lab and end all the speculation instantly? The only reasonable explanation is that she knew a real test wouldn't give her the result she needed, and she needed that result badly, emotionally, and publicly. Meanwhile, Blue was still being dragged online as a deadbeat dad. People judged him without knowing the full story. They didn't realize he was trying to avoid a situation where someone pinned a child on him that may not be biologically his. They didn't know he had already offered Ceres money multiple times to end the pregnancy because he wasn't convinced the child belonged to him. They didn't know he was scared of being lied to and manipulated, something he had experienced many times in that relationship. Over time, Blue's stance stayed the same. Show me proof, and I'll step up. But the proof never came, not from Ceres, not from Zeus, not from the internet rumors. So Blue continued refusing to accept Junior as his son, even when he and Ceres were still together. Now, with new DNA tests being done behind the scenes by his mother and other family members, and with Ronnie's claims resurfacing, the truth is finally starting to surface. And it's looking more and more like Blue wasn't wrong. He was cautious. He wasn't being heartless. He wasn't being irresponsible. He was protecting himself from someone who wasn't being honest. At the end of the day, Blue wasn't denying his child, he was denying a lie. And for the first time, people are starting to understand why. Back then, he tweeted, "Yes, me and Rock are done. It's strictly business. I tried, but it wasn't working, especially after she announced she was pregnant with somebody else's child, not mine." In another tweet, he said, "Rock has been with 10 different men this past year. Until I see a DNA test, that baby isn't mine." That's why Zeus did that paternity test on their show. And if you remember, the results claimed Blue was the father. But here's where it gets messy. People have been saying Zeus tampered with the results to fit the storyline, and Ceres went along with it because it helped her push the pregnancy on Blue. Even the test wording confused people. It says the alleged father is not excluded as the biological father of the fetus. Nobody even understood what it meant at first. Eventually they realized it basically said Blue could be the father. Ceres used that to claim he definitely was. But even after that test suggested he might be the father, Blue still tried to distance himself as far away from Ceres and the pregnancy as possible. He didn't soften up, he didn't suddenly change his mind, and he definitely didn't start acting excited about becoming a dad. Instead, he made it painfully clear that he didn't want anything binding him to Circe, not a baby, not a storyline, not a future, nothing. Behind the scenes, he even offered her $100,000 to end the pregnancy. That wasn't a small number. For someone like Blue, that amount of money said everything about how desperate he was to escape the situation. He wasn't trying to help her. He wasn't trying to support her. He was trying to buy his way out of a trap he believed she was setting. And he didn't hide his feelings either. He took his frustration public. He tweeted, "I told her I don't want the baby. She still has time to get an abortion, but she's forcing it on me. Judge, make the price right. She's trying to trap me." It was one of the most blunt things he'd ever said, and instantly, the internet exploded. Some people were shocked at how cold he sounded. Others felt like he was being honest in a situation where he felt cornered. But no matter which side people were on, one thing was clear. Blue wanted absolutely no parts of that pregnancy. He wasn't shy about saying he felt lied to, manipulated, and backed into a corner. In his mind, having a child with Ceres wasn't something that happened naturally, it was something that happened to him. He believed she wanted the baby more for control and financial reasons than for love or family, and because of that, he refused to play along. Even after the paternity test storyline aired and made it seem like he was the father, Blue didn't feel settled. He didn't suddenly embrace the baby or start warming up to Ceres. Instead, he became even more distant. To him, the test didn't answer the real issues. He didn't trust Ceres. He didn't trust Zeus, and honestly, he didn't trust the whole situation. His frustration wasn't only about the baby. It was about the history he had with Ceres. Their relationship had always been chaotic, unpredictable, and full of lies, breakups, makeups, and attention-seeking behavior. Blue had been burned too many times to blindly accept anything, she said, especially something as permanent as a child. It wasn't about the child, it was about the person attached to the child. His fear wasn't fatherhood. It was Ceres having power over him. And whether people agreed with him or not, the more details come out now, the more understandable his fear starts to look, especially as more and more signs point to the possibility that Blue wasn't the father after all. In his eyes, the baby wasn't a blessing, it was a setup, something planned, something forced, something he fought against from the moment the news came out. And now, with fake tests exposed, new DNA samples being taken, and the truth closing in, Blue's desperation from back then doesn't look random anymore. It looks like warning signs he tried to shout from the beginning. Even though you and CREs stayed together after all of this, he has never fully claimed Junior. When he got out of prison recently, he pretended for a bit, but it didn't last long. He started questioning the paternity all over again. That's when his mom, Karlissa, stepped in. She decided she would get answers herself. A few days ago she went live saying someone gave her a DNA sample from Junior. She didn't say who, but she confirmed she was doing a grandparent DNA test to see if Junior matched with her. She even posted the test kit online and explained she was handling everything personally, so she could finally put an end to all the confusion between Blue and CREs. She said, "We got the test coming. In a few weeks we'll have the results. Then we can finally figure things out. Yesterday was ugly, but now I understand why he feels the way he does." And here's the wild part, it's not just Karlissa trying to figure this out. Blue's father, Jonathan, was also caught on live recently trying to swab Junior himself for another DNA test. Everyone seems to be trying to get the truth, except CREs, and get this, Chrisean was right there the whole time and still didn't notice a thing. At this point, most people think the real reason she refuses to take a proper paternity test is because Ronnie is actually Junior's father. Before Ronnie passed, he begged Chrisean over and over to take another test so he could finally know the truth. But CREs wasn't trying to hear any of it. Ronnie even called her out directly. "You're acting weird. Nobody's stalking you. That's my son. I deserve proof. A DNA test will show everything. If Junior isn't mine, the test will prove it, and I'll move on." Honestly, it's wild how far people will go just to protect a lie. Karlissa jumped in to support Ronnie, too. She said she couldn't understand why Sires was dragging this out if Ronnie really wasn't the father. And yes, Karlissa can be dramatic, but on this one, she wasn't wrong. Just take the test and end the back, unless CREs is hiding something. Karlissa even said, "Give him the test and let him go. That's what I'd do." Ronnie explained that he didn't push harder earlier because he thought the paternity test Blue and CREs did on the Zeus network was legit. Later, he found out it was all staged and not an authentic test at all. He literally said, "I was under the impression the Zeus test was real. Then I learned it wasn't." And here's where things get disturbing. Shortly after Ronnie exposed all of this, he was killed. According to the police report, Ronnie was shot right outside his home. His death was officially ruled a homicide. After Ronnie died, people turned their attention straight to Chrisean. Ronnie never got answers. And now the whole situation looked even more suspicious. The pressure on her got so intense that she posted a DNA test from 2023 claiming Blue was the father. But guess what? That test just got exposed as completely fake. Yup. CREs had been using a fake paternity result this entire time to convince everyone that Junior belonged to Blue. Even Steve Wilkos called the hospital she claimed ran the test, and the hospital confirmed the case number didn't match anything. The test wasn't real. The names weren't real. And even the dates were wrong. Here's how the call went. "Is this a real case number? It's a real number, but it doesn't match the mother or father's names you gave. Was the blood taken in May 2023? No. The date doesn't match at all. Different year. So yeah, the entire thing was fabricated." Now the streets are saying, Blue is furious about all this and even threatened to put hands on Karlissa the next time he sees her. And honestly, that's not surprising. Karlissa and Chrisean already have a rocky relationship. With Karlissa digging into Junior's paternity again, it was only a matter of time before CRE snapped. Chrisean is now claiming that the only reason Karlissa is doing all of this is because she's jealous that CREs finally moved on from Blue and has a new man in her life. And honestly, CREs has said some wild stuff before, but this one really tops everything. She went on live saying, "I just realized that whole side doesn't see me as family. They look at me and my son like dollar signs. Tell me why Karlissa is telling my boyfriend to stay away from me. She's doing that because I make real money. I put people in positions to win, and they can't stand it. They can't take my name from me." She added that she's quiet for a reason and said she's staying in Baltimore, but not in any basic neighborhood. She claimed she's in the Calabasas of Baltimore and almost flipped her camera to show the house but said it wasn't anyone's business, of course. The internet had plenty to say. One person commented, "Karlissa is exhausting. They've had so many chances to take a real DNA test. They also knew the risks of Junior being born with developmental problems based on Rock's behavior, and they still did nothing." Another person wrote, "Why keep doing DNA tests when it keeps coming back the same? What's the point?" But now I want to hear from you. What do you think about Chrisean trying to fight Karlissa over the DNA situation? And do you believe Junior is actually Blue's son? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to check out the next messy video linked right here.